Hi, everyone. My name is Kin Chaturvedi. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer of TomoChain, and I'd like to welcome you to this very special AMA between TomoChain and Lithium. With the breaking news of TomoChain's acquisition of the Lithium Blockchain on the 28th of October, there's ample curiosity across our community, social media, major news outlets as to what it all means. So the acquisition includes the blockchain-related assets, human resources, treasury, and digital properties. Now, this announcement is also happening just after Lithium's launched mainnet, which is really exciting. So to set the stage a little bit more, our teams have been collaborating together for over the last year and a half, really kind of exploring the enterprise space and application of blockchain technology for it across both Europe and Asia. So this acquisition is really focused around the blockchain enterprise work that we've both been doing and have been engaged with for over the last 2 years. So with that, what I'd like to do is introduce both of the founders of the respective projects, Dr. Long Vuong of TomoChain and Dr. Richard Loeser of Lithium. So let's start by providing a brief introduction of the both of you and of your respective projects. And Long, maybe we can start with you first.
Thank you, Kin. So my name is Long Vuong, the founder and CEO of TomoChain. TomoChain is one of the scalable, low-fee public chain. We have been working on the project since 2017. We launched the mainnet in December 2018 and have been continuing building the ecosystem around TomoChain since then. One of the key themes I believe in is cryptocurrency, and the blockchain technology is going to change finance and create a new infrastructure for financial product and service. And we focus on that. We having products like the public chain, but also some application like TomoX, TomoZ, and TomoDev. And we will continue our path of building relevant products and service for the end user to be adopted in the next 5-10 years.
Great, great. So Richard, please let us know a little more about yourself.
Yes, thanks for the introduction, King and Long. So Lithium is also a blockchain technology infrastructure. We started off with a use case in energy. So we first came from the use case side, which is now running and has now well over 10,000 customers in Germany, which is electricity households, so real electricity to their households. On the one hand, but then we realized that we need a blockchain infrastructure that is capable for this. And that's why we developed the Lithium Blockchain, which is a scalable, but also data privacy savvy blockchain, which adheres to the European data protection rules, which mainly require you to delete data. So it is a deletable blockchain, which might sound a little bit weird, but our engineers were able to make it, and we successfully launched a testnet in 2018 and launched the mainnet just recently, about 1 month ago. And Lithium has these two parts, the blockchain infrastructure part with the scalable, deletable blockchain, but also the use case. And we have now separated the two parts, with the blockchain infrastructure part being acquired by TomoChain.
Great, great. So then why don't we dive into some of the key questions that a number of community members have actually been wondering about. So to start off with, an acquisition between two blockchain projects is not common in our space. And what was the core reason behind the decision? Where do you guys both see the synergies between Lithium and TomoChain, and what do you see as the future for the combined entities?
Yeah, I think Lithium is a very valuable addition to our team, right? It adds the dimension of technology, product, and also business development to our team. And there are elements that I'm very excited, like Richard said about the fact that Lithium had deletable blockchain that is suitable for some enterprise use case. we want to incorporate that in the technology, TomoChain technology stack, and bring it to the bigger use case in Asia and around the world. And one of the team, like I mentioned, we really want to focus on the financial sector. And in that sector, security is paramount. They put a lot of emphasis on the control of the data for the end user. And I think if we want to bring blockchain technology to serve big institutions like financial institutions like banks or government, we want to bring the best technology we can to the table. And that's what I think the sum of Lithium technology and TomoChain technology is even bigger than its past. And yeah, that's, I think, what made me very excited about the merge between two teams.
Exactly, especially, I mean, we've been knowing each other for 1.5 years now. Both companies come from a technology mindset, not from a marketing mindset. Both companies started relatively early. Both companies have down deep in the technology trenches, but also understand that you also need the business component to succeed. So I think from a personality and from a skills point of view, this is a very matching area where we are very similar. Where we are not very similar is in the geography. Lithium is a European project, TomoChain is an Asian project, and this is great because blockchain doesn't have boundaries, blockchain doesn't have a border. Blockchain is international. And if we want to tackle the really big use cases, and that's what it's all about in the end, then you need to have an entity which is very powerful, which is not European,
Right.
which is not Asian, which is global. You need to have an entity which doesn't just have a mainnet like TomoChain, or doesn't just have a side chain like Lithium. It has to have both. It doesn't have to have a couple of engineers on one side, on the other side. It has to have many engineers. And only with a strong company like this, there is a viable chance that we can really transform and disrupt the finance industry, and therefore make a very lasting and sustainable blockchain solution out there, not just for a few technical people that love blockchain. They will love blockchain anyway, but for the mass market.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you there. Combined together, it's going to be much stronger. We really want to take on a very large project and really moving towards these large financial institutions, both in Europe and in Asia, combining our forces together, our teams together, technology-wise, as well as business focus. It's going to make life a lot, hopefully a lot easier moving that direction, because it's still a steep climb for both of us, but this is really exciting. So, speaking of Lithium, Richard, let me ask you the next question here. And that is, you are essentially, Lithium is going to be splitting up into two business entities. We're going to be having the Lithium energy business, and whereas the Lithium blockchain unit is going to be acquired by TomoChain. So how do you see these two entities operating? And will there be any kind of an overlap between the two entities moving forward?
Well, I would say for the last 1.5 years, the entities have been operating independently already anyway. There are two legal entities, one Lition Technology AG incorporated in Liechtenstein for the infrastructure business, and one Lithium Energy GmbH incorporated in Germany. The team is either dedicated on one area or dedicated on the other area, with me and Kyung as an exception. So I think it won't really change too much. What, however, is a lot better now is, so far, the focus of a company, or also of a person like me, on two projects is always a little bit difficult to tackle. And I personally will now focus more on the energy side, which in turn will lead to more transactions, because will likely get more energy customers. And the more energy customers we get, the more traffic we have on the Lithium sidechain solution. And therefore, the more use and the more traction the sidechain has, also the more transactions are generated, and also the more fees in Lithium tokens are generated. So I think in the end, it's actually something good. And another area is, in order to scale largely, which we are currently doing in the energy business, which works well, the blockchain infrastructure needs to be rock solid. And I think, yes, we are very good engineers, but our whole company isn't just exclusively dedicated to technology. This is very different with TomoChain. TomoChain is has a lot more resources, a lot more power, a lot more experience in developing blockchains. So I think in the end, the energy business will benefit, and also the blockchain business will benefit to create this larger, bigger entity where in the end, I think there are actually even no losers. And I think that's the beauty of this well-prepared acquisition.
Great. So, coming to the TomoChain side of things, since Lithium's sidechain solution is staying on Ethereum, does this, some of the community members are wondering, does this signal a shift of strategy for TomoChain's blockchain development away from TomoChain itself?
It's actually the reverse, because with the merge with Lithium, we can bring the sidechain technology from Ethereum to TomoChain and add more strength and resiliency on TomoChain public chain. And that's great, because our proposition to end user and to the client is much stronger now, because we not just have a public chain, but we have a sidechain business that can serve different use case that client have. I think the combination of Lithium into the TomoChain public chain will have an immediate effect that we can enter the markets and bid for the project upward to 10, 20, 30 million USD. Instead of before, we only do like 500,000, 1 million USD project. But now we can do a lot more, right? Starting from 10 million, 20 million, and maybe even more. And as we grow and we do more things, I think so we will strengthen our brand and strengthen our case of being a premier enterprise blockchain provider in the space. And I think as a founder of TomoChain, I believe we have a strong case to grow TomoChain further in the future. Ethereum have their strength, right? But even now, they are still working on their own improvement. Meanwhile, TomoChain have their own track, our own track. And with this acquisition, we bring Lithium into the TomoChain ecosystem and make it way more stronger.
Great. So moving to we ran a small campaign where we're asking community members to ask their questions, and we'll be rewarding them with some prizes. So what I'm going to do here is moving to the next segment. We've chosen 3 questions, and I'll be asking them to the both of you. And then we'll be rewarding these people with a nice little airdrop. So let me start asking those questions. So the first one is by IE at IDC2BH. The Lithium community really wants to understand what this acquisition means for the Lithium token itself and the purpose of the Lithium sidechain post-acquisition. So I wanted to get both of your thoughts on that front, specifically focusing on the token, staking, and what the sidechain is going to mean moving forward.
I can start, right? I think the immediate plan after the acquisition is we still have the 2 entities, Lithium and TomoChain, operating quite independently. So Lithium staking is still staying on Ethereum and collecting the reward like before. And we bring some Lithium from Ethereum to TomoChain. And so that the Lithium token holder can enjoy the low fee and the fast transaction on TomoChain and experience what's the difference between TomoChain and Ethereum. I think the main goal for Lithium is to be the enterprise division of TomoChain ecosystem, right? And the Lithium token holder will enjoy the benefit of the technology serving the enterprise client. And I think here we have to come from the end user standpoint, right? The blockchain end user standpoint, the enterprise or the government. they're going to choose the technology that benefits them the most, right? And they can choose between the public chain, which is TomoChain or Ethereum, and they can choose a side chain with Lithium technology powering. And I think so when we have all the technology, we can best serve the client, and they can choose the technology, the product that fits their needs. And the token value coming from that, the token value coming from we are building right product that's serving the end user and the enterprise in this case.
Agreed. So this question, of course, is something I can understand very well. I hold my Lithium tokens. Lithium is being bought by another company. So what happens with my tokens? Is it good? Is it bad? Very human understanding. Uncertainty and doubt is always a feeling which no one is comfortable with. So let me start by saying that both TomoChain and Lithium discussed this topic extensively in the preparation. Why? Because we want to have a solution where the future of the Lit token is better than it was before. And we have also developed incentive systems and everything surrounding to make sure that the future of the Lithium token, definitely from a technological point of view, because that's something we can influence, and from a usage point of view, and from a business point of view, so from an underlying business fundamentals point of view, is positioned now better than it was before. As Long mentioned earlier, that the Lit token will be the benefit serving the enterprise client. And this is exactly what it was before. Lithium token was a pure enterprise utility token. It's still the case now, just with a lot better business unit and just with a company that is suited a lot better to sell this token to enterprises so they use it. So I think therefore this is actually a very strong signal for anyone holding Lithium tokens. Anything maybe to comment to this, Long?
Yeah, definitely. We are having a large customer base in Southeast Asia and also in Japan. And we are working with some the UK, such as automotive and healthcare industry in Japan. We also planning to spend a lot of efforts on the government outreach in Vietnam, and hopefully, right, some of these as long term. So it's not going to be a big announcement tomorrow or maybe 1 week from tomorrow, but that's something we are willing to spend efforts and time to make it happen, right? And when they choose to use a sidechain, or they choose to use a private blockchain to power their application, that is the Lithium coming in, and we are using Lithium token for that.
Excellent, excellent. So now let me ask the second question then from the community. This is from Tom Yang 1992 on Twitter. Are there plans to migrate the Lithium token staking and node operations to TomoChain? How will the Lithium, the TRC21 token, which is the wrap token on TomoChain, how will that token be utilized?
Yeah, I think like I mentioned before, the staking operation still stay on Ethereum and do is did before. We moved some of the Lithium token on TomoChain for listing for the future use case that the people need to use Lithium token on TomoChain. But you can expect most of the staking and token operation stay the same like before.
Right. So basically, essentially, we are continuing to operate the Lithium blockchain as is. We're going to continue to develop on it. It's not going to be migrating over to TomoChain. But these tokens can be used on the TomoChain network for other purposes like trading. Okay, cool. So the last question here is, what initiatives will we put into effect to attract new users and investors to join both the Lithium and the TomoChain communities? How are we going to bring on more users to want to purchase and hold both tokens now that we've done this acquisition. And this is from Jack Brook. Jack Bro 935404003. That's long.
I think we have been spending time with the Lithium team for the last 6 months, right? And I'm very excited with the acquisition. And many people still not realizing that the entity that combine TomoChain Enterprise and Lition will be much stronger, much bigger than the two teams used to be. And I think the fact that we are much stronger, we are very competitive from now on, will attract new users, even more new users, more investors to coming in, because we can win a bigger development and bigger integration. And I think that will show in the future with our continued development, continued effort spent on business development and also technology development.
Okay, great. So finally, thanks for answering all those questions, the both of you, and for taking the time out here. We're nearing the end of the AMA. So what I'd like to do is leave the floor to the both of you for providing any closing messages that you have to both communities together. And I think this entire endeavor working together between Lition and TomoChain has been amazing. And I think that the communities haven't really been able to hear much about that over the last year and a half, just basic announcements. So we'd love to hear more about what your final thoughts are.
So this marks a huge milestone in both in the terms of the Lithium world, but also in the TomoChain world. And I think also it's relatively unique in the blockchain space. If we draw some analogies from the enterprise world, from the traditional business world, acquisitions are normal. And if you think about the really successful growth stories like the Googles and the Apples of this world, they're full of acquisitions. Why? Because companies have realized that 1 + 1 is not 2, but 1 + 1 is 3. And that acquisitions create larger, bigger entities. And that's how, if you look at large entities in the stock markets, in the Euro stocks, in the Dow Jones, everyone is full of acquisitions. And this might be a little bit new for us in the blockchain space, but it's proven and it's working and is a recipe for success in the non-blockchain space, in the normal, real world. And as we, both Lithium and TomoChain, are an enterprise blockchain focusing on catering and delivering services to the real world, this is also just natural for us to be the first, to be among the first in the blockchain space, to also venture down this route, to create a new future, which is prepared a lot better for a digitalized and disruptive world than it is now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Richard. TomoChain and me, we are long-term investor and operator in this space. We have longer vision than most of the people in the crypto space have. We are willing to spend the next 5 years, 10 years, continuously invest in technologies, product, business development to bring the technology, the utility to the world. And I think lastly, I want to thank Richard and Lithium team for the trust in TomoChain. We definitely going to do well, do good for Lithium, both from the token and from the product standpoint. I definitely think that 2 years, 3 years from now, what we have will be, what we have then will 10 times bigger what we have now. And we're willing to spend our effort to make that happen.
Excellent. Thank you both so much for the time. The last thing I'm just going to mention is that with the recent announcement, we are running an drop campaign for both Lition holders and for TomoChain to reward both sides for being loyal to the both blockchains. And we're really excited to use this as a way to bring both communities together. So head on over to the TomoChain blog on our Medium and for more information. And also we have just listed Lithion on TomoDex, which is TomoChain's permissionless decentralized exchange. And we'll be planning for a trading competition coming next week. So thank you both, Richard and Long. This has been amazing, and I'm hoping that both communities are going to get a lot out of this.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks.